Welcome into Game Night. I am Derek Forrest. Training camp has begun for both the Washington Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens. We are 2 days in for the Commanders, 3 days in for the Baltimore Ravens. I guess we're 3 days in for the Commanders as well, but we were not allowed at practice today. The media was not. So they technically will call this an off day for the Commanders. The Ravens, they were out on the football field. We're going to hear from them in just a little bit. But for the Washington Commanders, they come into the 2026 season with high expectations, especially coming off of a 5-12 year last year. They obviously didn't make the postseason. Jaden Daniels was hurt for the majority of the year. He only played in 7 games. Terry McLaurin missed the beginning of the season, or not the beginning of the season, but training camp. And then he was out with a quad injury throughout the year. So there's a lot of different expectations for the Washington Commanders, considering that 2 years ago they were in the NFC Championship game after finishing 12-5. They played the Detroit Lions in the the Philadelphia Eagles, in the NFC Championship game before being ousted. And there's a lot going on with this Commanders squad. New offensive coordinator in David Blau, new defensive coordinator as well for the Commanders, and Dan Quinn, entering his 3rd year, could potentially be on the hot seat. I don't necessarily think he is as of right now as we're entering training camp, but a couple of losses to start the season, and all of a sudden everyone's going to be questioning what Dan Quinn is as a head coach once again, unfortunately. But we hope that Jaden Daniels and company can turn things around. They've got a lot of offensive pieces that are different and new this year, and the same thing on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's why there's a lot of question marks. But as we mentioned, the Commanders technically had a day off today. I think they were doing probably some film work and they were in the facility, but not on the football field. And Dan Quinn, when he talked to the media yesterday, talked about what his expectations are for this team once they get back onto the field tomorrow, which is an open practice fans will be able to attend.
Out on the field, first things you want to, like from the defensive standpoint, you want to hear communication. Sometimes that's before the snap, sometimes that's after the snap, but that's when you can, relay the information back and forth to one another. Offensively, am I at the right target? Am I at the right depth in a route? So those are the things that you want to see. And so to see that come to life early on, that's a good step. It gets progressively harder as you go. Practice get a little more plays into it. So for the first day, I thought, just about everybody hit the marks that we were wanting to hit, and then leveled up. And so over the next 3 weeks, just keeps getting progressively harder. We challenge them more, and we try to put them into as many stressful scenarios as we can out at the practice field. So we create it to make it really hard on them. So they know it's coming, but, not all the way everything on the first day.
Yeah, Dan Quinn wants to make sure that his team is ready to go and that they were in shape for training camp as they get ready for the 2026 season. I mean, the preseason's only going to start in 2 weeks as they take on the Miami Dolphins in their first preseason game, but there's still a lot of things to be excited about with this team, and it obviously starts with Jaden Daniels under center. He's going to be under center more under a new offensive scheme with David Blau as well. The question will be whether or not he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he gives his team an opportunity to win ball games. The other question is what's going to happen with wide receiver 2. Right now, Treylon Burks is out. We don't know if he's going to be on the football field on Saturday, but he certainly missed day 2 of training camp earlier this week. And we don't know what they're going to do in terms of, are they going to sign a wide receiver? We know everything that was going on with Brandon Ayuk. It doesn't look like he's going to end up here in D.C., and we're still waiting to see what happens with Stephon Diggs. As I mentioned before, I think both these receivers don't want to attend training camp. So if it's going to be a signing of either of these two, preferably Stephon Diggs, I think everyone's leaning towards, it'll probably be towards the end of training camp. So a lot of question marks on the offensive side, but on the defensive side of the ball, everybody's excited about number 52. That's Sonny Styles, the rookie linebacker out of Ohio State. What can he do this year? He's going to be charged with being the leader of this defense in his rookie season. But of all things that he was able to do in Ohio State, there's a lot of belief that he'll be able to do it. But that's a lot to put on the hands of a rookie linebacker as well. But all of these storylines we'll be watching throughout the next couple of weeks as training camp continues to go and we wind down to the regular season, which will be in the second week of September. But as we mentioned, the Baltimore Ravens, they were also on the football field as well, as they are getting ready for their 2026 season. And our Alex Flum was in Owings Mills, Maryland, to catch up with the team and check in on their new offensive scheme.
Well, did you watch the Chicago Bears offense last season? You might be wondering why I'm bringing that up standing here at the Baltimore Ravens facility. Well, it all has to do with the Ravens' new offensive coordinator, Declan Doyle. Doyle did wonders with the Bears offense last season as a first-time coordinator. Caleb Williams enjoyed a sophomore surge. Offensive weapons like wide receiver Rome Odunze, tight end Colston Loveland, and running back DeAndre Swift shined. And they weren't the only ones. But now it's about bringing that success to Baltimore, helping guys like Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Lamar Jackson, and figuring out how to do it.
You look at Lamar learning a new system. You look at all of our wideouts, whether it's Zay or it's Bate or it's Jack or any of these guys. We're asking them to kind of move around. They might be running some routes that they might not run in the regular season if we don't like kind of how it looks. You try to not be like too game plan specific yet. You're trying to introduce conceptual learning. You're trying to make sure that they know the whole picture and that you can move them around to these different spots and they learn, big picture offense.
While he's only 30, Doyle brings a decade of pro and college coaching experience.
This is my 11th year getting to coach, and obviously I've had different jobs in that whole process. When I started coaching, I always wanted to be the coach that I wanted to have, and that was like one that is clear communicating, holds you to a high standard, knowledgeable, able to help you, and that really is what I'm trying to convey every day. That we're in the boat with them. It's not like, hey, me versus you. It's like me and you together, and we're trying to accomplish what we say we're going to accomplish.
Doyle's crown jewel on offense, star QB Lamar Jackson, has faith in his new play caller.
No, I don't think we carried over anything, man. It's Dak like a wizard. He's trying to get the best out of all of us, not just the quarterbacks, but every aspect of the offense. And I feel like he's doing a great job at that, challenging us each and every play. Even with the huddle, how the huddle is set up, he's challenging us, man. Get to the line of scrimmage fast, execute, break down the defense, process everything fast. It's like process of elimination when we get into the line of scrimmage, so it's great.
With that wizardry and Lamar's talent, they're helping the defense improve also.
Gives the defense confidence, right? And I've been spoiled in the quarterback room, Drew Brees, Joe Burrow, and now Lamar Jackson. So, I can't speak enough about these high-level quarterbacks and how they lead teams, offense and defense. So, when you're motivated to get number 8, the ball back, makes it a little easier.
Now, this is all a learning experience for Doyle, too. Last year in Chicago, Ben Johnson, the head coach, called the plays, even though Doyle was the offensive coordinator. Now, he'll take on that role with the Baltimore Ravens, also calling the plays. For now, reporting here in Owings Mills at the Castle, Alex Flum for Game Night.
All right, thank you very much, Alex. As for the Baltimore Ravens, they're in a very similar situation as the Washington Commanders. Did not make the postseason last year under John Harbaugh, who's now with the New York Giants as the head man. But as we talk about with the Commanders, a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator, the Baltimore Ravens even more. New offensive coordinator in Declan Doyle, as you heard, new defensive coordinator in Anthony Weaver, and then a new head coach in Jesse Minter. There's a lot going on with this coaching staff with all the other pieces that do come back from last season. Lamar Jackson, we know, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Kyle Hamilton on the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of pieces coming back for this Ravens team that could potentially get them back into the postseason. It'll be what the coaches are able to do and what kind of adjustments they are making with the offense and with the defense that we will be watching. But certainly the Ravens are always a playoff contender. They're one of the favorites to get to the Super Bowl once again, right behind the Buffalo Bills out of the AFC. So there's a lot of high expectations for the Ravens. But the Ravens, they're also holding an open practice tomorrow. They're going to be at the University of Maryland for their open practice. That one's going to be taking place over at CQ Stadium at 11 a.m. So they'll get an opportunity for people closer to the DMV to check them out as well. Head coach Mike Loxley was at Owings Mills, Maryland earlier today to talk about that open practice.
As being the flagship university of the state of Maryland, it's our job to promote the game of football. Who else better to promote the game than to bring our state's team, the Ravens, down to the DMV area? And anytime we can show football, and we've got great youth football in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. We've got great high school programs like St. Francis and DeMatha and St. John's. But to be able to bring this product down, the best product in the state, at that level is a great thing for all of us.
And of course, there is a tie from the University of Maryland on the Baltimore Ravens. You see him right there. That's wide receiver Octavian Smith, who is on the Ravens right now as an undrafted free agent after he spent the last 4 years with the Maryland Terrapins. In his 4 seasons with the Terps, he caught 107 passes for just over 1,200 yards and ended up with 5 touchdowns throughout his entire career. But getting a shot with the Baltimore Ravens and obviously able to catch up with his old head coach, as you see in Mike Loxley earlier today. But Mike Loxley was talking about Octavian earlier today and what he brings to the table, and Octavian just happened to be walking by during the availability with Coach Loxley.
We've had quite a few players that have had a chance to play at the next level. You know, at Maryland, we've done a really good job of developing pros and putting guys in the league. And to see Ock be able to chase his dream, he's been able to go to high school in the state, college in the state, and now hopefully make a name for himself here with the Ravens.
So how cool is that? How often do you get the opportunity to hear your head coach speak about you when he thinks you're not in the room? But he had a lot of good things to say about Octavian Smith. And again, as an undrafted free agent, is getting his opportunity with the Baltimore Ravens. And outside of Zay Flowers, they're probably looking for some wide receivers. So there's definitely room for Octavian Smith on the roster if he can make the team. All right, coming up on the show, we're going to check in with Denton Day from Odyssey Radio. We're going to get his thoughts on what he's seen so far over at Washington Commanders training camp. Welcome back into Game Night. Derek Forrest. Earlier today, I caught up with Denton Day from Odyssey Radio, and we got a chance to talk about the Washington Commanders and what he's seen so far at training camp. He was there for the first 2 days of camp, and he gives me his evaluation.
I mean, the offense is learning. They could use another wide receiver. We've talked about that at great length over the course of the offseason, but getting up to see it up close and personal, Terry is really, really good. And then everybody else is filled with question marks. Now, is it possible that some of the people on this team, some of the guys on that roster could step up and, fill a role and become a really, really good player in 2026? That's always a possibility. I don't know that anyone is there right now, so to speak. So, an addition of maybe a Stephon Diggs, who feels like the only real option at this point, would certainly be beneficial for Washington. But the offense is learning. It's really hard to take away how they're doing when A, we don't really know what they're trying to work on in practice, and B, it's only been 2 days. I don't expect perfection in day number 1 or day number 2. In fact, I'd go so far as to say if you're perfect day number 1 and day number 2 at training camp, your standards aren't high enough. So it's been 2 days. I can't wait till pads eventually come on, because then you'll really get to learn about just how physical they are and just how physical this defense is, because the defense has looked really good the first 2 days.
You mentioned needing some wide receiver help. What is your concern level, if at all, on the fact that Traylon Burks, Nick Allegretti, and Tress Way are all on the sideline right now?
Not really. In terms of, if you compare their injury situation to others, they're looking pretty all right. I mean, these sorts of things kind of come up during training camp. Now, obviously, with Allegretti and Burks, I would love them to get as many reps as possible, learning the new offense, installing it, and just getting the repetition with the first team, because Traylon Burks has seen a lot of first team reps, at least on day number 1. He didn't practice day number 2, but he saw a lot of first team reps on day number 1. I would like to see those guys out there as much as possible. Traylon Burks is a guy that has a lot of upside, but you also have to be a little bit more realistic about what he is, and he's a guy that's going to need that repetition. So not too worried. Now, if we are in the middle of August and he's missed 1, maybe 2 preseason games, then there is some worry. But missing the second day of practice, that feels more precautionary than anything.
I know it's only been 2 days, but has there been anyone that's kind of stood out to you where you're like, oh, I kind of want to see what this guy does when he puts the pads on?
I mean, the running backs look really good. the running backs on offense, they look really good, but they're not in pads, right? So you can only look so good at that position when you're running through arms instead of running through actual tackles. I think Sonny Styles has looked good, but again, that's a guy that I need to see him in pads, because you're not getting the full scope of what he is if you're just in shells. Once you get to see some real physical contact, then you'll really see kind of the differential between what he is and what everybody else kind of is. Because I do think that Sonny Styles, once the pads come on, you're going to see why everybody was so high on him in the lead up to the draft and why Washington was so happy that they drafted him when they did. Outside of that, the cornerbacks have played pretty good. Now, I don't know if that's more because the receivers are in this bit of learning phase and they're having some struggles is not a fair word. I don't think it's like it's 2 days of camp, but they have not been excellent. So I don't know if that's more because the DBs have been really, really good or because the wide receiver position just needs a significant facelift. It's too early to tell, but I think that the defensive backs have been a very pleasant surprise.
I want to ask you about the Nationals because obviously they've already made one move, sending Curtis Mead to Boston, which ended up in an injury, unfortunately, for Curtis. I know we talked about it last week, but we're getting closer to the deadline. It's on Monday. Do you expect something to happen over the weekend?
I do expect something. I don't anticipate it's going to be a major splash. Maybe Luis Garcia gets moved. Maybe, but that's the only thing I could see. I feel pretty comfortable saying that Wood and Abrams are still going to be here. And as we get closer to the deadline, it does kind of feel like that the pitching is going to stay relatively the same, at least in terms of starting rotation, which means they're not going to move anybody. Still hoping to get a couple arms for the bullpen if they do want to go into buyer mode. Like if you're moving Luis Garcia and not getting bullpen arms back in the process, I would call that a pretty big loss. But that's the only big name that I could see getting moved right now for the Nationals. And they'll just have to see if there's a quality bullpen arm that they feel like is worth pulling the trigger on.
Well, here's the thing, and this is kind of how I look at it. Do you think Blake Butera and Paul Taboni look at it as Jake Irvin's a bullpen arm, Trevor Williams is a bullpen arm, and if Josiah Gray comes back, he's a bullpen arm, and those were our moves that we made at the trade deadline?
That's an interesting way of looking at it. I do think if you're going to take like a Jake Irvin, so to speak, and I know he wasn't excellent last night, but I didn't think he was, awful. If you look at him as a bullpen arm, I think that's fine. But then maybe you go out and get another starting arm just to kind of be safe. I mean, you know this, I know this. There's no such thing as having too many good pitchers.
Right.
They are kind of learning the opposite at the moment when it comes to their bullpen, that they very much learn that it sucks when you don't have nearly enough good pitchers. So anything that they can do, if that does mean, like, if they're more comfortable saying we'd rather go out and get a starting arm and then take some of the guys who have been starters for us this year and move them to the bullpen, if that's what they're more comfortable with, then do it. Whatever you can do that kind of fits you in line with the idea of not mortgaging your future, but also still finding a way to potentially capitalize on how good the offense has been this year.
All right, coming up on the show, we're going to catch up with the quarterback of the Maryland Terrapins, Malik Washington. He was at Big Ten Media Days on Thursday and spoke on the podium. We're going to hear from him coming up next on Game Night.
Can I leave? I'm done. Am I done? Bro, I'm not that popular, bro. Like, cut. Bro, see, it's just you though, twin. I appreciate that though, bro. I appreciate that. So we locked in. Can I leave? Ain't nobody finna come over here. I'm telling y'all. Y'all see this logo? They don't like us, okay? They don't care about us. I promise y'all that.
That was an interesting take from Malik Washington at the end of his press conference availability there, obviously having a side conversation, but in front of a hot mic. And unfortunately, it's been a tough go for the Maryland Terrapins, who for the last couple of years haven't been too great in the Big Ten. And as Malik Washington said, nobody cares about them. They ended up 4-8 last year, ended the season on an 8-game losing streak. Mike Loxley's probably coming into this on the hot seat as well. So it's just not great for the Maryland Terrapins in terms of that situation. But hopefully they can turn things around in 2026. And obviously, Malik Washington did talk about the upcoming season and what some of his expectations are for the year and what he plans to do better as he enters his sophomore season. Obviously, last year, his freshman season was pretty outstanding. Here is Malik Washington.
I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? We taking steps as a team. We're going to go out here, we're going to fight and get everything we got. About myself, just really my ability to endure, to be honest. It was a tough season, a tough late stretch of games for us. Just the ability to stay with it and keep pushing through no matter what happens.
And as he mentioned, a tough season. They ended up with one conference win. That was versus Wisconsin in their 4th game of the season. And then the 8-game losing streak happened, unfortunately, for the Maryland Terrapins. But hopefully, again, they can turn things around in 2026. All right, coming up on the show, we're going to hear from Denton Day one more time. He's going to give me his thoughts. Who's going to retire first, LeBron James or Alex Ovechkin? Welcome back into Game Night. Derek Forrest, as LeBron James is now a Philadelphia 76er. When I talked to Denton Day earlier today, I wanted to get his thoughts on something. When LeBron talked, he talked about potentially playing for about a year, maybe 2 more years. When Ovi signed his contract with the Washington Capitals about a month ago, he said he wants to play a year, maybe 2 years, and he might be trying to get 1,000 goals. So the question is, who retires first, Ovi or LeBron?
I think maybe they are competing against one another. I don't know. I'm always curious because it does feel like there is like a Venn diagram, an overlap, so to speak, of great athletes, right? Like it was not out of the question to see like LeBron pop up in an event with Tom Brady. I do wonder how much they've ever entered each other's orbit, whether that's been with a photo or, maybe behind closed doors. I don't know what they would talk about. Like that is kind of a funny thing because they're just such drastically different people, but greatness gravitates towards greatness. So maybe they are in a perfect world. Like let's just say my fantasy world, they're texting back and forth. I think it would have been like actually hilarious if he did sign here, because then you really like they're sharing the same building, they're sharing the same hallways. Then you really would have had some conversations, and that would have been really, really cool. But I do wonder how much they're in contact about like, hey, I'm going to retire before you, or vice versa.
The interesting thing is, I wonder if they've ever had a conversation with each other. That's certainly something we should probably ask Alex Ovechkin the next time we talk to him. But we got to get out of here. That's going to do it for another edition of Game Night. For Alex Flum, I'm Derek Forrest. Have a good night.